She told me to leave, so I left. The brisket was perfect. I'd been up since 4 a.m., nursing that smoker, watching the temperature like a hawk for 12 straight hours. Every piece of mesquite wood carefully selected. Every adjustment calculated to the degree. When you work 14 days straight on an offshore drilling platform in the Gulf of Mexico, you learn patience, you learn precision, and when you finally get your 14 days home, you make damn sure they count. I'd timed everything perfectly for Madison's return from her marketing conference in Dallas. The meat thermometer read 203 degrees, exactly where brisket surrenders and becomes something magical. Homemade coleslaw with vinegar tang, beans that had been simmering since dawn with chunks of burnt ends mixed in. The backyard table set with our good plates, the ones we'd gotten for our wedding 9 years ago. Cold Shiner Bock waiting in a galvanized tub filled with ice. Even picked up fresh sunflowers from the farmer's market downtown, because I remembered Madison mentioning once how they made her smile. We'd been married 9 years. 9 years of this rhythm. Me offshore earning the money that paid for this house, this lifestyle. Her climbing the corporate ladder at Pinnacle Marketing. I thought I understood how it worked. I thought we were building something together. The backyard looked like something from a magazine. String lights I'd hung that morning cast a warm glow over everything. The pool sparkled clean. The landscaping I'd spent my last rotation planning was finally coming together. 48 hours ago, I'd been managing a crew of roughnecks on Platform Echo 7, dealing with pressure readings and drilling mud viscosity. Now I was playing house, trying to create the perfect homecoming for a wife who increasingly acted like I was interrupting her real life. At 7:30, I heard her BMW pull into the driveway. The same BMW I made the payments on with offshore money that came at the cost of missing half our marriage. I stayed in the backyard, having learned months ago that greeting her at the door with too much enthusiasm only irritated her. Made her feel suffocated, she'd said once, like I was some eager dog waiting for scraps of attention. So, I waited, watching the smoke curl up from the cooling brisket, watching the condensation bead on untouched beer bottles, listening to the suburban symphony of sprinkler systems and air conditioning units. This was supposed to be our time. 2 weeks of being normal, of being married, of remembering why we'd chosen each other in the first place. She came through the sliding door laughing, phone pressed to her ear like it had been surgically attached. "No, you didn't, Shane. That's absolutely insane. God, you're terrible." Her voice had that sparkle it used to have when she talked to me. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow at the Peterson account review. We'll finalize the Q4 strategy then. Yeah, bye." She ended the call, and for maybe half a second, her smile flickered when she saw me standing there beside my carefully orchestrated welcome home surprise. It was like watching someone remember an appointment they'd forgotten to cancel, a chore they'd been putting off. "You're back early," she said. Not, "I missed you," not, "welcome home." Just a flat observation that I'd had the audacity to return from earning our living on schedule. Rotation ended this morning, caught the first helicopter to shore. I gestured to the spread with what I hoped looked like casual pride rather than desperate hope. 12 hours on the smoker. Thought we could celebrate being together again. Madison set her purse on the patio chair, not on the table where I'd cleared a space next to the flowers. She'd been doing that lately, keeping things portable, ready for quick exits. Her keys stayed in her hand instead of going in the bowl by the door. Her jacket stayed on, even though it was 80 degrees. I already ate. Shane and I grabbed steaks at Del Frisco's while working on the Henderson campaign, that new partnership deal they're pushing through. Shane Palmer, her work husband, as she called him, with a laugh that used to be mine. They'd been colleagues for 18 months now, ever since he transferred from their Austin office. Before Shane, I'd been the person she called during her lunch breaks. Now it was Shane. Shane's ideas about market positioning, Shane's jokes about difficult clients, Shane's take on everything from office politics to weekend plans. "You could have texted me," I said, keeping my tone even. I'd learned that too, the hard way. Showing hurt only made me the bad guy somehow, the needy husband who didn't understand her career demands. I started the smoke at 4 a.m. She pulled out her phone, scrolled through messages with the distracted air of someone checking more important communications. "Oh, I guess I forgot. We were deep in strategy mode, you know how it is. Time just disappeared when you're in the flow." She grabbed a sparkling water from the outdoor fridge I'd stocked specially for her return. "Actually, I'm heading back out. There's this networking thing at Axis. That new rooftop club downtown. The whole team's meeting a potential client there. A nightclub on a Tuesday to meet clients. I felt something cold settle in my stomach that had nothing to do with the beer. What time will you be home? I knew it was the wrong question the instant it left my mouth. Her expression went from distracted to icy. The temperature dropped so sudden, I almost expected frost on the patio furniture. I don't know. Whenever we finish networking, why, do I need a curfew now? Should I ask permission like some teenager? Her voice climbed with familiar irritation. Do I need to check in every hour, report my location? I'm not saying that. I just thought, just what, Cole? Making sure I'm being a good little wife? Making sure I'm not having too much fun without you? She set the can down hard enough to make foam spill over. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This needy energy you have now. I'm out there building something real, making connections that matter for both our futures, and I come home to you standing here like some abandoned puppy. The accusation hung in the air like smoke from my neglected brisket. Abandoned puppy. That's what 9 years of marriage had reduced me to, in her eyes. I looked at the table I'd set, the food I'd spent half a day preparing, the flowers wilting in the Texas heat, and felt something fundamental shift inside me. I thought we could spend time together, I said, my voice steady despite the hurricane building in my chest. Talk. We haven't really talked in weeks. Every time I call from the platform, you're in meetings or rushing somewhere with Shane. God, she laughed, sharp and bitter, the sound like glass breaking. You're doing it again? This guilt trip thing. I work 60-hour weeks while you're gone, Cole. I'm trying to advance my career, build something that matters, and apparently that makes me the villain because you come home expecting me to drop everything and play house. I work offshore, 14 days straight, no breaks, no weekends off. Right, and then you get 14 days of vacation while I'm still grinding. Must be nice, getting half the month off to smoke meat and feel sorry for yourself. Her voice had taken on that cutting edge I'd been hearing more and more lately. Some of us don't get to check out of our responsibilities every other week. The unfairness of it hit like a physical blow. Those 14 days weren't vacation. They were survival. Coming home and trying to remember how to be human after 2 weeks of industrial noise, safety meetings, and managing crews in life-threatening conditions. Coming home to a wife who acted like my presence was an inconvenience to her real life. Madison grabbed her purse, checking her reflection in her phone screen. I need to change. My Uber will be here in 20 minutes. This Peterson account could be huge for us, and Shane's been working his contacts to set up this meeting. Shane again. Always Shane now. She started toward the house, paused, turned back. Something in her face had shifted to something harder, more final. The woman I'd married seemed to flicker and disappear, replaced by someone I barely recognized. If you don't like how I live my life, she said slowly, deliberately, each word a nail in the coffin of our marriage, then leave. The silence that followed felt like the air had been sucked from the yard. Even the sprinkler system seemed to pause, waiting. Madison, No, I'm serious. She took a step closer, and I thought maybe she was coming to soften it, to take it back, to remember that we were supposed to be on the same team. But her eyes stayed cold, distant, like she was looking at a stranger. I'm exhausted from walking on eggshells in my own house. I'm tired of feeling bad for having friends and ambitions and interests that don't revolve around you. If you can't accept that I have a career and a social life outside this marriage, outside you, then maybe you need to leave. We're married. The words came out smaller than I intended. Yeah. And that means what exactly? That I stay home every night, eat brisket, and listen to you talk about drilling mud and pressure readings? This is my life too, Cole. Mine. I get to decide how I live it, who I spend time with, what matters to me. If you can't handle that, if you need some 1950s housewife who exists solely for your convenience, then you married the wrong woman. She went inside, her heels clicking across the stone patio with the sharp percussion of finality. I listened to her footsteps overhead, moving from closet to bathroom, the familiar routine of her getting ready to go, somewhere I wasn't invited. The shower ran for exactly 12 minutes. I knew because I'd timed it without meaning to, some desperate part of me trying to calculate how long I had to figure out how to fix this. Music started playing upstairs, upbeat and confident, some playlist she'd made for getting ready to go out. the soundtrack of someone excited about their evening, about escaping the suffocating presence of their husband. I stood up and walked to our bedroom, my feet moving with a purpose my brain hadn't quite caught up to yet. The walk-in closet we'd organized together when we moved in, everything in its place, his and hers sides clearly demarcated. I pulled down the suitcases from the top shelf, the expensive matching set her mother had given us for our honeymoon. Clothes first. The essentials I'd need for however long this was going to last. My work clothes, civilian clothes, the suit I wore to company dinners and platform ceremonies. Then my books, the ones I'd owned before we married. Dog-eared paperbacks about exploration and adventure that Madison had always mocked as escapist fantasy. My laptop with the photos from before her, pictures of drilling crews and offshore sunsets and the version of myself that existed independently. The watch my grandfather had left me went into a sock for protection. The knife he'd carried in Korea. Letters from friends who'd stopped calling after Madison made it clear they weren't welcome in our social circle. Piece by piece, I was excavating myself from the life we'd built together, finding the parts of me that had somehow survived 9 years of slow suffocation. It took me 2 hours to pack methodically, like I was preparing for another rotation. 2 hours of decisive movements, hangers sliding on rods, drawers opening and closing for the last time. Each item I packed felt like a small declaration of independence. I wasn't just leaving Madison, I was remembering who I'd been before I started shrinking myself to fit into her vision of what a husband should be. Madison was still in the bathroom when I carried the last suitcase downstairs, her hair dryer drowning out the sound of my exodus. The house felt different already, like it was exhaling in relief. I found a notepad in the kitchen, the expensive kind she liked with thick paper, and the Pinnacle marketing logo embossed at the top. For a moment, I considered writing everything I felt. The loneliness of coming home to a stranger, the slow erosion of being loved conditionally, only when convenient, the accumulating small hurts that had calcified into something harder, more permanent. But that would give her power she hadn't earned, ammunition she could use to paint me as the unstable one. Instead, I used her own language against her. "You're right, I don't like it, so I left." I left it on the table next to the vase of sunflowers I'd bought that morning. They were already wilting in the heat, their bright faces turning downward like they were ashamed to witness the end of something that had once been beautiful. My brother Ryan had divorced 2 years earlier. When I called him at 1:15 a.m. from my truck in the driveway, he answered on the second ring like he'd been expecting this call for months. "Hey, you okay? I need a place to crash, just tonight, maybe a few days. I'll explain when I get there." There was a pause, the sound of someone who'd walked this road before and knew exactly what that tone meant. "I'll make up the couch. Drive safe, man. And Cole, whatever happened, you did the right thing calling." I pulled out of our driveway at 12:47 a.m., the digital clock on the dashboard marking the exact moment my marriage officially ended. In the rearview mirror, I watched our house disappear, the lights I'd left on casting warm rectangles on the lawn, the life I'd left behind looking deceptively peaceful from the outside. Somewhere downtown, Madison was dancing, networking, living her life exactly how she wanted. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, so was I. Ryan's apartment in Montrose smelled like cardboard and new beginnings. Boxes everywhere, half unpacked, some still labeled in his ex-wife's handwriting with the optimistic efficiency of someone who'd once believed in forever. We sat up until 3 a.m. drinking Shiner Bock in his sparsely furnished living room, the kind of masculine space that emerges when women stop caring about throw pillows and coordinated color schemes. "She told me to leave if I didn't like how she was living her life," I finally said, staring at the condensation ring my beer was leaving on his coffee table. "And you left." "And I left." Ryan smiled, not happily, but with the recognition of someone who'd stood at the same crossroads. "Welcome to the club nobody wants to join. But I gotta say, little brother, you handled it better than I did. I spent 6 months trying to win Sarah back before I realized she'd already moved on. At least you recognized." The dismissal for what it was. 9 years, Ryan. 9 years down the drain." "No," he said, leaning forward. 9 years of education. Now you know what you won't accept anymore. That's worth something." I expected Madison to call Sunday morning. Surely by then she'd come home, walked into our house, seen the empty closets and the note. Surely she'd realize I'd actually done it, that her husband of 9 years had taken her at her word and disappeared into the night like smoke from a dying fire. But my phone stayed silent. 7 a.m. passed, 8, 9, nothing. At 10:15, my phone buzzed. Not a call, a text from her number. Really, Cole? Really? This is so dramatic. Over what? Me going out? Having friends? You're unbelievable. Then, I'm calling my mother. She needs to hear about how you abandoned your wife in the middle of the night like a coward, how you can't handle a successful woman. Then, you don't even have the decency to talk to me face to face. You just run away like a child throwing a tantrum. I watched them pile up on my screen, feeling something strange happen inside me. I'd expected guilt, expected to doubt myself, to wonder if I'd overreacted to what was probably just a bad day, a moment of frustration blown out of proportion. Instead, I felt clarity crystallizing like ice on a windshield. Because there it was, right in those messages. Everything wrong with our marriage distilled into angry texts. It was my fault for being dramatic. I was unbelievable for having expectations. I was a coward for taking her at her word. Never mind that she'd literally told me to leave. Never mind that she'd been choosing Shane over me for months, that she'd dismissed my homecoming like it was an inconvenience. The phone rang. Madison. I declined the call, feeling a strange sense of power in that simple gesture. It rang again. Her mother. Linda Matthews, who'd never liked me anyway, who'd always thought her daughter had married beneath her potential. I declined that too. Then my own mother called, her name lighting up the screen, with the weight of inevitable disappointment. Cole Matthews, what is happening? Linda just called me absolutely frantic. She says you've left Madison, that you packed up and disappeared in the middle of the night, like some kind of criminal. Madison is devastated, according to Linda. What were you thinking? The automatic assumption stung like a slap. Not what happened or are you okay, but what did you do? Mom, I really can't get into this right now. Madison and I are having issues and I needed space to think. Space? You don't take space from a marriage, Cole. You work on it. You communicate. You don't just run away when things get difficult. A pause heavy with judgment and disappointment. What did you do to that poor girl? What did I do? The question hung in the air like an accusation, like somehow this was all my fault for not being grateful enough for the scraps of attention Madison threw my way. Mom, I have to go. I have work tomorrow. Work? Your marriage is collapsing and you're worried about work. Some of us have to show up to our jobs, Mom. Some of us have responsibilities that don't disappear just because our personal lives implode. It came out sharper than I intended. I hung up before she could respond, before she could pile more guilt onto the mountain I was already carrying. Monday morning, I went to work at the Katy Field office, running on 3 hours of sleep and black coffee. The familiar rhythm of safety meetings and equipment checks felt like salvation. Here, at least, I knew who I was. Here, my competence wasn't questioned, my presence wasn't treated like an imposition. My supervisor, Drew Campbell, pulled me aside before our morning briefing. Drew was old school, a company man who'd worked his way up from roughneck to operations manager over 25 years. He had a weathered face and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Cole, my office, now. His tone made my stomach drop. I followed him, closed the door when he gestured for me to. I got a call this morning, Drew said, settling behind his desk like a judge preparing to pass sentence. From Madison's attorney. She's claiming you've been harassing her, that you've accessed private communications illegally, that you're spreading defamatory information about her character. What the hell is going on? The words hit like a physical blow. What? That's not... I haven't even spoken to her since I left. I haven't contacted her at all. He held up a hand. I know you, Cole. I've watched you manage crews, handle crisis situations, deal with pressure that would break other men. I don't believe you're harassing anyone, but I have to ask, what's really happening here? I took a breath, trying to organize thoughts that felt like scattered drilling equipment. Madison and I are getting divorced. She filed first, claiming I abandoned her. My attorney is preparing to file a countersuit because Madison's been having an affair with a colleague for 18 months. Her lawyer is trying to intimidate me by contacting my employer, probably hoping you'll suspend me or create some kind of disciplinary record they can use in court. Drew's eyebrows shot up like oil derricks. An affair? Cole, that's serious. Do you have proof? Phone records going back 18 months, credit card statements showing hotel charges during times she claimed to be in business meetings, witness testimony from colleagues, email communications. Yes, I have proof. He studied me for a long moment. The way he'd examine a questionable pressure reading or a piece of equipment showing signs of failure. This harassment claim she's making? I've looked at publicly available information and accessed joint accounts I'm legally entitled to access as her husband. My attorney has vetted everything. I've done nothing illegal, nothing unethical. This is her trying to control the narrative before the evidence comes out in court. Jesus Christ! Drew shook his head. Okay. I'll tell her attorney that we investigated and found no misconduct whatsoever. If she keeps making false claims to interfere with your employment, I'll report her lawyer to the State Bar Association for harassment. He paused. I'm sorry, Cole. I always thought you two had something solid. She seemed nice at the company picnics. So did I. Apparently, I was wrong about a lot of things. That afternoon, Brooke Wilson from the administrative department knocked on my office door. Brooke handled billing and accounts receivable, and we'd always been friendly in a professional way. She was maybe 35, divorced herself, with the kind of practical wisdom that comes from surviving your own disasters. Hey, she said, can I come in? I need to talk to you about something. I gestured to a chair. She sat, clutching a manila folder like it contained state secrets. So, I heard what's happening with Madison. She paused, seeming to weigh her words carefully. I thought you should know something. Last August I saw her at Papa's Broa Steakhouse downtown. She was with some guy, definitely not you, tall, dark hair, expensive suit. They were sitting close, touching hands across the table, definitely not acting like business colleagues or friends. My stomach dropped like a failed blowout preventer. When exactly in August? The 27th. It was my birthday dinner with my sister, so I remember the date clearly. They were at a corner table, very intimate, very much acting like a couple. She pushed the folder toward me. I wrote down everything I remember, dates, times, what I observed, what they were wearing, even what they ordered. If you need someone to testify in court about what I saw, I will. I opened the folder. Her handwriting was precise, detailed, like an incident report. Brooke, why are you doing this? You barely know me. Because what she's doing isn't right. Spinning this story like you're some kind of monster, making you out to be the villain when she's the one who broke your marriage vows. Her voice carried the conviction of someone who'd been through similar battles. I know what it's like when everyone believes the wrong story. My ex did something similar, cheated for months, then made me out to be the crazy, jealous wife when I finally had enough and left. I won't stand by and watch another woman get away with that kind of manipulation. After she left, I sat there staring at her notes. August 27th. I pulled up our credit card statements on my phone, scrolling back through the charges with the methodical focus I used for reviewing drilling logs. There it was, Papa's Broa Steakhouse, $187, August 27th, at 8:47 p.m. I remembered that night clearly now. Madison had told me she was at a team dinner, strategizing for a major client presentation. She'd come home after size, midnight, claiming the dinner had run late, that they'd moved to a bar afterward to continue brainstorming. She'd smelled like expensive wine and cologne that wasn't mine, but when I'd mentioned it, she'd rolled her eyes and said I was being paranoid. My phone rang at exactly 3:30 p.m. Unknown Houston number. Cole Matthews? Yes. This is Nicole Stevens from Stevens & Associates. I'm representing Madison Matthews in her divorce proceedings. I'm calling to inform you that you need to secure legal representation immediately. We'll be filing comprehensive paperwork by the end of the week. Her voice had that practiced coldness of someone who specialized in dismantling lives with legal precision. Filing what exactly? Mrs. Matthews has made her intentions clear. She's citing abandonment and emotional cruelty as grounds for divorce. She'll be requesting temporary spousal support, exclusive use of the marital home, and a 60-40 split of all marital assets in her favor due to the emotional trauma you've caused. We'll need to schedule a time for you to collect your remaining belongings from the marital home under supervised conditions. Emotional cruelty. Me. The one who'd waited up nights when she worked late, who'd spent 12 hours smoking brisket for her homecoming, who'd begged for scraps of conversation she wouldn't spare. I see. We'll be in touch once you've retained counsel. I strongly advise you to cooperate fully with these proceedings, Mr. Matthews. Contested divorces can become very expensive and very public. Good day. She hung up before I could respond, leaving me sitting in my office with the phone dead in my hand and the taste of bile in my throat. Madison had filed, not just threatened, actually filed for divorce. 3 days after I'd left, she was already moving to erase me from her life, while simultaneously trying to take everything I'd worked for. I called Ryan immediately. She filed. Jesus Christ, when? Today. Her lawyer just called. Abandonment and emotional cruelty. They want 60% of everything plus spousal support. Of course they do. Ryan's voice carried the weary anger of someone who'd fought this battle before. Listen to me carefully. You call a lawyer today, right now, this instant. My divorce attorney is Amanda Foster. She's tough, she's fair, and she doesn't take any shit from anyone. She's expensive, but she's worth every penny. I'm texting you her number. Call her. Amanda Foster's office occupied the top floor of a glass tower in the Galleria area. All modern lines and expensive furniture, designed to project competence and success. She was maybe 50, with steel gray hair cut in a sharp bob, and eyes that looked like they could dissect a lie at 30 paces. Tell me everything, she said, after we settled in her conference room with its panoramic view of Houston's sprawl. Start from the beginning, and don't leave out anything, no matter how embarrassing or painful. So I did. The gradual distancing that had accelerated after Shane's arrival, the late nights that multiplied into a pattern, the way conversations died whenever I entered a room, the increasing sense that I'd become a supporting character in my own marriage. The night I made brisket and she told me to leave if I didn't like her lifestyle. And you took her at her word, Amanda said, making notes in precise handwriting. I did. Seemed like the honest thing to do. Smart man. Did you respond in writing? Text, email, anything documented? I left a note. It said, "You're right, I don't like it, so I left." Amanda's mouth quirked upward slightly. Using her own words against her? Very smart. When did she file? Today. Got a call from her lawyer demanding I get representation. Nicole Stevens? Yes. She's good, aggressive, expensive. She specializes in high-asset divorces and likes to paint her clients as suffering victims while making the other side look like monsters. Amanda leaned forward, her expression growing serious. She's going to try to destroy you, Cole. She's going to take that note and spin it as proof of emotional cruelty. She's going to use the fact that you left as evidence of abandonment. She's going to claim you're hiding assets, harassing Madison, whatever it takes to tilt the playing field in her favor. But Madison literally told me to leave. Do you have proof, recording, witnesses? No, it was just us in our backyard. Then it's your word against hers, and right now she's controlling the narrative with tears and victim stories. Amanda pulled out a legal pad. Here's what Stevens is going to do. She's already filed citing abandonment and cruelty. She'll request temporary orders for you to continue paying the mortgage while Madison lives in the house. She'll ask for spousal support of probably $1,500 to $2,000 a month. She'll want half your pension and 60% of marital assets. And she'll paint you as the villain who abandoned his devoted wife without cause. Can she succeed? Depends entirely on what we can prove about what was really happening in your marriage. Amanda's fingers drummed against the table. I need everything, Cole. Bank statements, phone records, credit card statements, any evidence of infidelity or deception. If Madison has been having an affair, that changes everything in Texas. Adultery affects asset division, spousal support, everything. I spent the next week building a case like I was planning a drilling operation, methodically, comprehensively, with attention to every detail that could make the difference between success and catastrophe. I requested our cell phone records from Verizon, going back 18 months to when Shane joined Madison's company. When they arrived in a thick manila envelope, I spread them across Ryan's dining room table like battle plans. The pattern emerged immediately, undeniable as pressure readings on a gauge. September, 71 calls to Shane Palmer, average duration 41 minutes. October, 68 calls, average 39 minutes. November, 84 calls, average 45 minutes. Page after page of evidence, timestamps that told the real story of my marriage's death. I cross-referenced every call with my own memories, my work schedule, Madison's explanations of where she'd been. The picture that emerged was devastating in its clarity. While I was offshore, earning the money that paid for our life, my wife was building a new one with someone else. The mediation was scheduled for the following Friday. As I prepared to face Madison across a conference table, armed with evidence that would destroy her victim narrative, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. The cold satisfaction of holding winning cards in a game, I finally understood how to play.